G'day legends, before we jump into this one, this tutorial is actually one of my lessons from inside the Confident Photographer course. I filmed this about 2 years ago, but the technique hasn't changed at all. This is exactly how I approach focus stacking today, and honestly, focus stacking can be a huge game changer when you want ultra sharp landscape images where everything is sharp right in front of the camera all the way through to the background. And in some situations, that's almost impossible to achieve perfectly with a single shot, no matter what aperture that you use. So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you exactly how I shoot images in the field and then bring them together afterwards to create one super sharp final image. Let's get into it. Okay, so we are at the amazing Camel Rock on the south coast of New South Wales. Beautiful landscape, and I'm going to use this tutorial to show you how I do some focus stacking. So in this composition, I'm going to get this beautiful vegetation in the foreground and this rock formation, and then the midground of that rock out to that side, and then obviously the pinnacle rocks coming out of the ocean. So as far as taking this shot, I am going to use a graduated filter because the sky is quite bright. So you can see when I pop that one in, just brings a bit of detail back into the sky right, while retaining some foreground definition. We're also going to use this super dark neutral density filter. It's a 6-stop filter. And what that's going to do is allow the water to move around and slow down, and those clouds to really streak across to just give it a softer look around the sharp rocks. It's going to be a good contrast. There's more about that in the filters section of this course as to why I use that, but that's what I'm going to use for this particular shot. Now, I am going to shoot it around about f16, f18, which is going to inherently give it lots of depth of field, as well as using my 15mm wide angle lens. I probably set it about 18mm probably for this one. But so all of that is going to give a good depth of focus, good focus from foreground to background. But if you want to get it a little bit more focused, you can use this technique called focus stacking. So I'm going to take my first shot where I've focused on this foreground rock with this foliage. And then my second shot is going to be where I take a focus point on that midground rock. And then my last shot will be focusing on the pinnacles sticking out of the ocean. So then I've got 3 different focusing layers to then blend, and I'll show you how to do that in Lightroom, then Photoshop. So we'll get back to the computer for the rest of this tutorial. But yeah, it's super important when you want to really include a super close foreground and a background. So I'm like literally inches away from this foliage and this rock with this lens, and then I've got something that's way off in the distance. So it's one way to get around it in the digital world. So let's see how it goes in post-production. Okay, so it's been a while since I shot these photos. Had a haircut. It's been months actually. But finally got back in the editing room to put this focus stack together. So now we're going to go into Lightroom quickly and then over to Photoshop to show you how that I focus stack this particular image. Now there is many ways of actually taking the focus stacking. I showed you a landscape where I was set at, I think it was f16, so quite a narrow aperture. And I only took 3 shots from the foreground, midground, and the background. And when you're shooting at f16 with a wide lens, I think I shot that one at 18mm, you can get away with probably 3 focusing points. Now, you can do focus stacking where there is multiple pictures, like 30, 40 pictures taken in the one focus stack and then stacked together in Photoshop. I will be doing another tutorial that will be a macro photo. So you're going to have this problem with macro where very little of the photo is in focus, so you need to take multiple shots, like up to 30 or 40. You can actually do this automatically in the camera as well, but I'll show you in that tutorial. When you're only doing landscape photos, I found it's better to just manually take the focus points. Even if there's 8 or 10, it's better to manually set it. So that's just a thing to look out for in the future. Hopefully I'll get that macro focus stack video up pretty shortly, but today it will give you a great indication on how to get started with these, with how I showed you in the field when I shot the South Coast landscape, and now we're moving over to Lightroom and Photoshop. So here is the screen. We've got our 3 images. I have done some post-editing on this, so you can do the post-editing in Lightroom. Now, I would suggest that if you do the post-editing in Lightroom,
is to do the corrections for all of those, and then select Shift and go sync, and then sync everything from cropping to lens corrections. Have all these ticked on, masks and everything like that. I've already synced them, so I won't do it now. So most of this magic happens inside Photoshop. So I like to do the edit in Lightroom. That's why we're here right now. But what we're going to do is we make sure that the 3 pictures that we have taken are selected in Lightroom. We go right mouse click, and then we go edit in, and we go down to open layers in Photoshop. Now, the reason why we open layers in Photoshop instead of just open in Photoshop, we want to make sure that they're stacked over each other. So we go like that, then Photoshop should open up. Okay, so we have them open now in Photoshop, and make sure you've got the layers palette on this right-hand side open. Okay, so if layers isn't showing up here in your tools palette, you can just go to Windows and just make sure layers is ticked. And I just unticked it, so we'll tick it again. And then it appears there. Now, what you first do is you hold down the Shift button and click the bottom layer over here. So we're in the layers palette. And now they're all selected. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into Edit, and we go Auto Align Layers. And just leave it in auto. And the reason why we're doing this is for this photo, it's probably fine. But when you focus, especially if you're focused on something ultra close, the lens actually moves just slightly in and out. So if it's super close, well, then there is a difference in perspective. So the auto align just fixes that between the 3 images. So we've got them all auto aligned. And then we go back into the edit and we go auto blend layers. And we leave it on stack images. We have that seamless tone and colors ticked. We keep content aware, fill transparent area ticked as well. You just go OK, and then it does its magic. What that's doing is it is choosing the best focusing sections of each frame and then laying them over the top. Okay, so once this is done, it does sometimes have a selection area. Sometimes it's the whole picture, sometimes it's a very tiny bit of it. Just to get rid of it, just go Command D, and that's deselect. It's Control D perhaps for a PC, but for a Mac it's Command D. So now we have got all that, and we go into our zoom function, and we can really just check around, see if it's all sharp front to back, and see if there's anything awry. But we've got really good sharpness in this foliage and the rock area. That midground, super sharp, and then those pinnacles out the back, they're really sharp as well. So we've got a really good result of getting this area in focus, midground in focus, and the sea stack in the background in focus. Could have taken one for the sky as well, but I sort of liked the sky dropping off a little bit more, but it probably wouldn't have made too much difference anyway. So now we have got a stacked image that is focus stacked from front to back. The only thing left to do now is go up to Layer and Flatten Image, and then you have got a flattened image, and File, and save that out as a high-res JPEG or a TIFF. So I've got my South Coast landscape, but I'm just going to go Finished Edit. And I can either save it as a TIFF if I want it super high-res, or I can save it as a JPEG. It's also 16-bit, so I can take that down to 8-bit. Sometimes some programs can't handle 16-bit, but I'm going to just keep it at 16-bit now. Keep the quality, so in case I do something down the track with it. And when I output it, I'll take it to 16-bit. Okay, so we have got the stacked image together. It's looking sweet. We've got super good focus from foreground to background I will do another video on this with a macro environment where the effect is going to be so much more pronounced. In this one at f16 with a wide angle lens, it was more or less in focus from the foreground right down to the background. But if you printed this one super big without the focus stack, it probably wouldn't be as perfect as what I've made it there. So it's important for a landscape photographer, if they're printing big, to use this method, even if they're using a wide angle and a small aperture. But where macro and product photography is where it really comes into the own, when you want everything in focus in the frame. And I'll do a quick video on that down the track, so look out for that one.
So there you go, folks. Hopefully that gives you a really good understanding of focus stacking and shows you just how useful this technique can be when you want that sharpness running right through the image. As I mentioned at the start of this is actually one tutorial from inside my Confident Photographer course. There's also a separate focus stacking tutorial in there where I use a close-up product shot that really shows how powerful the technique can be when you're working with subjects much closer to the camera. But the exact same theory works pretty much with anything where depth of field becomes a problem. And that's part of the advanced section of the course, where we also go into things like HDR done the right way, panorama stitching, sun stars, and heaps of other techniques that can really open up what you can create with your camera. The course also takes you right through the fundamentals, exposure, focusing, composition, camera settings, and everything else you need to get really confident with your photography. I've currently got the full Confident Photographer course currently available for just $97. So if you want to keep learning with me, I'll put the link below where you can check it out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.